You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Welcome into the latest edition of the show before the show from MILB.com. It is August 7th, and we're in the final stretch of the regular season in 2019. My name is Tyler Mon. Sam Dykstra is in New York City. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Tyler.
Decided to try to go professional this week on the.
I know, yeah. It's all very buttoned up.
Very weird. Yeah. It's very strange. What's going on out there? How's it's been? I know there's like a tsunami bearing down on you from rain standpoint today, from what I saw on Twitter. The Mets played an afternoon game, finished, and the radar was like, oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna get a storm from the day after tomorrow.
Yeah, it hasn't arrived yet, but if you hear crashing thunder in the background, those are not sound effects. Those are actually. It's not Ben just standing behind me like flexing one of those aluminum sheets. It could very well pass
garbage can lids together.
Yeah, but it's funny you mentioned the Mets because the kind of prevailing feeling around here is just it's a Mets town again. Even though the Yankees have one of the best records in baseball, it's everybody coming out. I don't want to say out of the woodwork because Mets fans always let you know how they feel about things.
Andrew Bataferano always hanging out at Mets games.
Yeah. But the second they started going on this run, it's funny to just watch all these Mets fans being like, I feel optimistic. I don't know what optimism feels like. I forgot about this. It's like, you guys were just in the World Series a couple of years ago. You should have been this good all along. Right. Not this good, not winning like 12 out of 13 or whatever run they're on now.
Yeah.
But, it is kind of exciting to see a team that decided to be a buyer basically at the deadline. And we talked a lot about the deadline last week, going out and getting Marcus Stroman, a move we thought was more geared for 2020 to start winning now. And that's what allowed them to hold on to Zach Wheeler and hold on to Noah Syndergaard. And that NL wild card, I know, Tyler, you might not be wanting to look at those standings much anymore, but that NL wildcard race is going to be insane. And I'm excited to see teams like the Mets, like the Reds, like the Giants, teams that we didn't think would be going for it a couple weeks ago, at least competitive for a few more weeks. I think that makes for better baseball.
A few points. One, Andrew, our good buddy who also writes for the site, you can follow on Twitter at Andrew @bat with 2 T's, which I find the most entertaining and clever of all of our Twitter handles. Andrew and I work together for a baseball writing website, and we never talk baseball. We talk exclusively about Red Dead Redemption 2, and it is one of the best friendships that I have because of that. Secondly, that attitude from Mets fans, the only fan base that I think I have less patience with in that sort of attitude is Royals fans. And I understand things have gotten rough for the Royals. I get it. But like the woe is us, back to the same old Royals. You went to 2 World Series and you won 1 within like the last 5 years. Like, my sympathy is not really there for you. I get it. It's rough, but like, you have reinforcements on the way. There's some fun talent in that system. You got Bobby Witt, you got Brady Singer, who I know this season, hasn't had the most dominant stretch in Double-A, but like Jackson Kowar's been fantastic lately. I don't know.
Chris Bubic
is another one.
Yeah, been very good.
They got some fun dudes in that system. And third, I don't want to talk about the NL Wild. I mean, like, coming from a franchise that actually has never really given you any reason to ever be optimistic as a fan base.
Yeah, that's how it always works, is you guys are the ones complaining all the time, but I have a legit reason to complain.
Always. It's, 27 years of franchise history of, not great, Bob. So anyway, let's dive into this week's episode of the show before the show from MILB.com. Thanks for joining us wherever you found us. You can give us a rating and a review and a subscription on Apple Podcasts and Google Play and everywhere else you find your shows, as well as tracking down our past episodes at milb.com/podcast. And we will start things off on Three Strikes this week with a look at the final month of the regular season. Sam Dykstra wrote a column, a Toolshed piece for the site today, and opens with this line: as of Monday, there were only 4 weeks remaining in the minor league regular season. So we're headed into this final stretch. Most teams wrap things up on Labor Day, which is September 2nd this year. There are some stragglers that finish off later on in that week, but really we're down to it in this last month. Among some of the best prospects in baseball, Sam, this column covers who could use the best Augusts, and there's some really interesting names in this. Kind of the headliner is Forrest Whitley, the Astros right-handed pitcher who's had a rocky season this year. But Joe Adell, the Angels outfield prospect, is in there. Alex Kirilloff, the Twins outfield prospect, who's really started to come along. Give us a rundown of this list, because this is a really good topic.
Yeah, and then one thing I wanted to do with this column this year is point out not just guys who have had rough seasons and really need a strong August just to have us think positive thoughts going into the offseason. But there are a lot of guys, Joe Adell being one of them you mentioned, who could use a strong August to potentially push for the major leagues. Joe Adell had some serious leg injuries coming into the year, an ankle, a hamstring injury during spring training, didn't come back until late May, and has shown all the regular skills that he did before the injuries. So that's been comforting to the point where he is now at AAA Salt Lake, one step away from the majors. Since the Angels drafted him in the first round, they've always had dreams of, hey, maybe someday this guy will play next to Mike Trout. Now that dream is as close to a reality as it's been, and it's probably even like a bigger dream than they had when they first took him, just given the way he's shown plus skills at pretty much every one of the 5 tools. This next month for him at Salt Lake is basically a de facto audition. Now we think of that with pretty much any player at AAA or even AA. It's a de facto audition every time you're out there for a major league job, but especially for Adell. I know there are a lot of other concerns that go into this, and would the Angels want to start his clock? I think we might be seeing that wave cresting a little bit. Guys like Fernando Tatis Jr. and starting opening day this year, you want to keep your top talent happy, and getting Adell the chance to play next to Trout, getting those guys comfortable playing with each other, seeing what he can do at the major league level. They did that with Trout when he was a prospect. He got a couple games in 2011, didn't go great, came back in 2012, won Rookie of the Year very famously. So maybe they allowed that to happen with Adell if he can have a strong month of August. One thing I want to point out, though, obviously AAA is much different than any other year basically in history. There's a chance Adell could put up some good numbers at AAA, but they might not be good enough to push him to the majors. So if he's got like an 850 OPS in his first time at AAA, you might think that's pretty good. Let him see the majors, and the Angels might be like, well, actually that's league average, and we want him to be knocking down the door. We want him to be doing better than league average.
It's
something
very
to keep in
difficult
mind
to evaluate what AAA stats mean this year, especially in the Pacific Coast League.
And especially at Salt Lake, which is
right.
An extreme hitters park within an extreme hitters league, within an extreme hitters level in 2019. So something to just keep an eye out with that. But as you mentioned, Forrest Whitley's another one of those. Somebody we thought was maybe the top pitching prospect in baseball coming into the year. Allowed 30 earned runs over 24 and a third innings at AAA Round Rock to begin the year. He ends up going on the IL with some shoulder fatigue. He's been working his way back up, starting to hit the mid-90s again, showing signs of him being himself. In this column, you'll see a lengthy at-bat in his last start with AA Corpus Christi, but it actually ends on a really good breaker, which I think is a positive sign for him, because there have been some reports that his stuff has come down a little bit. He used to be somebody who could show multiple plus pitches. Now he's starting to show the velocity again. Maybe the breaking stuff is coming back as well. But that AAA return is kind of looming in August, and he's going to have to get used to throwing the AAA ball again. And I know in interviews, he's brought up that it was really difficult to pitch with that ball and get his stuff to work. So, I don't think he's going to be pushing for a major league job in the same way Adell was. But, he still needs to keep his stock high, and it'll certainly make him feel better. It'll make the Astros feel better if he can get back to Round Rock, get maybe 2 or 3 starts under his belt, better quality outings, not necessarily quality starts in that them being 6 innings, 3 earned runs, but just quality results back. And, maybe he'll push for the majors again next year. He's only 21. It's not a big worry. We put him on the fast track, and that time, sometimes that can feel worrisome when guys take a step back. Development isn't always linear. It has not been for Forrest Whitley, but it would definitely be good if he could end on a better note in August. And hey, maybe if he does really well enough and his health is good and he can throw her deeper into outings, maybe the Astros say like, hey, your stuff really is one of the best in the system. Let's kind of use you the way we used Josh James last year, throw you into some relief roles, maybe get you a start if we can in September, and just see whether you're worthy of the postseason roster. Given all the time off he had this summer, there's probably a couple of extra innings in that arm, but he has to show that the shoulder is fully back. So that's some things we'll be watching. Other ones to quickly point out, Jesus Luzardo is coming back up through the A system. He's somebody we thought would be potentially in the majors in the spring. That hasn't worked out for him. He's had shoulder issues and lat strains that have put him back on the IL. He's scheduled to next take the mound on Saturday with Class A Advanced Stockton. Hopefully he can get back to AAA Las Vegas by the end of the month. And kind of what we were mentioning before with Whitley, I think Luzardo, if he shows his health is back, if he shows his stuff is back, definitely will be with Oakland in September. They are in the midst of a kind of 3-team wild card race right now between the Indians, the Rays, and the A's, and they're going to need all the talent they can get. Luzardo, when healthy, is definitely one of the best pitchers on that team. When rosters expand, he should be there trying to get some of those innings. I would expect that to happen if the A's are really going to push for a wild card spot. Carter Kieboom kind of in a similar spot, in so much as the Nats are going for one of those 2 wild card spots right now. I think they were tied last time I checked with the Phillies. Right now they're 1 game ahead of the Phillies actually for the the first NL wild card spot. He's definitely going to be back there. He's already on the 40-man. He's already seen the majors at the beginning of the year. But he had some real offensive struggles. He had some real defensive struggles. He'll need to show that the bat is ready to get major at-bats and not just pinch hitting duties off the bench just to kind of have him around in September. So these are some of the guys. I lay out other names in there. Davey Garcia is somebody I mentioned. Logan Allen in his first month with the Cleveland Indians. Nico Horner, 1 level below those guys at AA. Kind of needing a stronger month after some struggles in July. Check out the tool shed and go through all these names more in depth there.
Strike 2 this week, which kind of plays off of the same concept. Guys who could finish strong and in the Strike 2 premise, finish in the top 100 prospects going into 2020. Who right now, among guys who are not top 100 prospects, should fans be excited to watch while they still can?
Yeah, so again, this kind of comes back to there's only 4 weeks left. There are certain prospects who, the top 100 names you all know, I'm sure, and you're always going to be searching for them in box scores. I'm going to mention 2 guys. Tyler, I'm sure you might have a couple as well. But actually, I'll mention 3 real quick. These are 3 that aren't top 100, but you should be following them. I'm not saying they're going to be top 100 this offseason, although some of them might. But they're not going to get called up in September. You're not going to get much more of a chance to talk about them. So watch them now while you can, because otherwise when you're going into the offseason and thinking like, oh, that guy should be top 100, you can say last time we saw them in August and September, this is what they looked like. So one guy I want to mention real quick is Twins number 9 prospect, Joan Duran, who has had a stellar season between Class A Advance and AA Pensacola. Just moved up to Pensacola 2 starts ago, has struck out 11 batters in 11 innings there, had 95 strikeouts in 78 innings at Class A Advance Fort Myers. The fastball is plus. He's somebody who can touch 100 at times. The curveball has been pretty good. The changeup is developing. But the package is coming all together in really, really exciting ways. I've heard some rumblings that he could be somebody who we're going to be talking about a lot in the offseason. That velocity is always going to play, but the way he's been getting swings and misses this year has been really exciting. Speaking of swings and misses, kind of a breakout prospect in the Detroit Tigers system is Tarek Skubal, who was a 9th-round pick coming out of Seattle University last year. And in this Tiger system, in which we've always said is so loaded with arms, he's actually moved past some of these guys. He's moved past the Alex Fados, the Kyle Funkhausers, who were top draft picks, to the point where now he's the number 4 prospect in that system. He's got 147 strikeouts and 104 in third innings this year between Class A Advanced Lakeland and Double A Erie. Even since moving up to Erie in the Eastern League, he continues to bring Ks. It's really been interesting to see him kind of not overshadow, Casey Mize necessarily, but to the point where 4 of his last 5 starts have been double-digit Ks. He struck out 13 over 6 1-hit innings on July 19th. As if the Tigers needed more pitching depth, he has certainly brought that to the table with a plus fastball and above average curveball and slider. Changeup's not quite there, but to have 3 above average pitches, that's certainly going to work at Double A. Let's see how far he can take this. What can he do? The more he sees Double A hitters, the more they see him. That'll be really fascinating. You're going to want to watch him just kind of have an opinion on where does he rank amongst some of these other arms, the Matt Mannings, the Casey Mizes, like I mentioned. So that'll be really interesting to watch him. And one other I want to throw out real quick, a guy I talked to earlier in the week is number 5 Dodgers prospect Josiah Gray. Gray, as some of you will remember, was involved in that offseason blockbuster that sent Alex Wood and Yasiel Puig and Matt Kemp and Kyle Farmer to Cincinnati, and Homer Bailey kind of as a salary dump back to L.A., but in order to take on that salary, the Dodgers also took on Gray and Jeter Downs. Gray was not much of a pitcher in college. He kind of transitioned to the mound, went to the Cape as a closer, showed some dominant stuff, became a starter, ended up being the 72nd overall pick in the 2018 draft. Now has climbed 3 levels. He started out at Class A Great Lakes. Now he's at Double A Tulsa, has put up stellar numbers everywhere he's gone. I encourage people to check out the piece I wrote about him because he's just said, hey, listen, I've always been confident in my stuff since I became a pitcher, since I knew what this could do. And I hope I'm showing the Dodgers that I can roll with the punches, that I can do whatever they put in front of me. I can accomplish it and put up results, not just show stuff, but show results. He's certainly done that so far. He was named the Texas League Pitcher of the Week already. He's only made 4 starts there. He's already standing out at that level. He has really good control. Tried to talk to him about that. He just said, I know the odds are always going to be for me if I put it in the zone, so that's what I do. I just try to focus on hitting the mitt. He's only walked 23 batters in 114 innings this year. Couple that with 126 strikeouts. So he's getting the swings and misses. He's noticing his stuff isn't getting that same swing and miss rate at Double A, and the numbers kind of back that up a little bit, but he's still being competitive. He's finding other ways to pitch. You're going to want to watch him do that the further he goes with the Drillers. Obviously, the Dodgers have had so many player development success stories this year. Gray is right on the cusp of being the next one, and if he can end with a really strong August, we might be talking about him differently. Is there anybody you're going to be keeping an eye on, Tyler, or somebody who's like, I don't know, you've covered a lot recently that you're excited to see in the final month?
Josiah Gray was actually the guy who I was going to pick, especially because I've been basically the Gavin Lux beat writer for the last month, so I haven't gotten a chance to write or think about anybody else. One thing to note about him, and I have not seen a reason for this, but he was placed on the temporary inactive list as of a couple of days ago, right after his most recent start with Double A Tulsa against Northwest Arkansas. He was great in that game, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, but he did go on that list on the 5th of August, so presumably could just be, kind of a paper move or something that's sort of unrelated to baseball stuff. It's obviously not a health thing, but Josiah Gray has been a fascinating guy to watch so far this season. Another guy who I've always been fascinated by, and I think is now starting to get to the point where people have to take him seriously, and I believe at one time was a back end number 99 or 100 top 100 prospect. He no longer is, but I think he could get there again. is 18-year-old Blue Jays right-handed pitching prospect Eric Pardino, who this season has only made a handful of appearances combined, but he's been with Class A Lansing for his last 6 outings, started this season in the GCL. He's still so young, so I think they just got him started late to keep him, obviously, in extended spring training and doing all the things to get him ready for this season. But so far in his 7 outings combined between the GCL and Lansing, 1.64 ERA, 32 strikeouts and 33 innings pitched, an opponent's average of 195, a whip of 1.09. We've talked about him before. People might remember the fact that he pitched as a 15-year-old, I believe, for Brazil in the World Baseball Classic qualifier a few seasons back in 2016, at the end of that 2016 professional season. And he's a fun prospect. He's not a big guy. He's only 5'10", 155, but he really has good feel for where he is in his career. He's got a fastball that can hit the mid-90s, and especially now getting a chance to work against Class A hitters, full season Class A guys, and doing that at 19 years old and doing it successfully. Prospects like that are always fascinating to me, and we've seen, feels like a lot of those guys go through the Midwest League in recent years, where you'll see some of the best prospects in that league at 17 or 18 and 19. The guy who always jumps out to me in that conversation was Julio Urias, who I think was 16 when he was there.
Yeah, I remember when he started.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, by the way, there's a 16-year-old pitching for Great Lakes today. For Great Lakes. And we were just like, oh, what?
Like, wait a minute. What? Is that even possible?
One thing I want to add on Pardino real quick. He did have an elbow issue in spring.
Right, that's what it was.
Yeah, that they were worried about, but obviously it's worked out okay.
A full-on injury. I think it was more of a precautionary thing that they had kept him shut down for a little while, something like that, if I remember right.
Yeah, it was described as tightness.
Right, that's what it was.
Yeah, which, elbows are always worrisome, especially for young guys, especially for smaller guys like him. But it seems like they have avoided surgery and anything additionally scary. So Eric Pardino is one of I think we're going to be talking about him for years to come. He just needs to be on the field more.
Yeah, I think you're right. And strike 3 this week, the Atlanta organization got a big bump of its top talent to AAA Gwinnett, led by Christian Pache, who was the top prospect in that organization, the outfielder who has been bumped up to AAA. Drew Waters is up there as well, who is Atlanta's number 2 prospect, and Ian Anderson, right-handed pitcher. Waters joining Pache in the outfield. The top 3 guys in that system now members of the Gwinnett organization. The debut did not go great for Ian Anderson on the mound. He went 3 innings and left that game with a loss in his first AAA outing. But that's coming off of 21 starts with AA Mississippi, in which he was terrific with a 2.68 ERA through 111 innings. He struck out 147 batters, by the way, in 111 innings at AA. That's a pretty. I mean, that system has been churning out talent in recent years. For all those 3 guys to make that jump basically at the same exact time, that's a pretty exciting next step in the Atlanta system. Yeah,
and it was kind of interesting the way news kind of got out about this. I think on Sunday, people were reporting that Pache was going up to AAA, and that's kind of a move that I had been waiting on. I did a column a couple of weeks ago saying, like, these will be the next guys to move up, and I thought Pache would be one of them, just to kind of get him and Waters out of each other's shadows. The dream is to have them playing together in Atlanta, but they're both really good outfielders. They're both capable of playing center field. Pache might be the best outfielder we have in minor league baseball when it comes to defensive work. And I would have thought they wanted both to get more time in center. So Pache, who played a little bit of AA last year, would move up first. So we hear news of him going up Sunday, and then Monday the official transactions come in, and, oh, by the way, Waters and Anderson are also coming up. So Braves system continues to push these guys aggressively. It's exciting to see them make that jump. I think, I thought Pache would move first, but Waters probably had the better offensive year at AA Mississippi. He was hitting .319. He led the league in doubles. He led the league in a whole bunch of different categories, actually, but also had 5 homers, 13 stolen bases, and 847 OPS, which might not sound great, but was one of the best in the Southern League, which is kind of a pitcher's league to begin with. Pache, a little bit of a breakout this year for him offensively, especially when it comes to power. Power was his most questionable tool on the board, and he's hit 11 home runs this year in 104 games at at Double-A Mississippi. So seeing these guys continue to pair together, I guess, that tells us about the Braves' hopes for their long-term future. The idea of Waters, Ender Inciarte, and Christian Pache all playing the outfield. Also Ronald Acuna, you pick your three, and it's going to be really difficult for a ball to hit the grass between those guys. How that'll all shake out, we'll have to see in the years to come. And obviously, Austin Riley has some outfield experience this year, although he's started to struggle of late. But these guys are giving the Braves options, and when they were going through their rebuild, this is what they wanted to have happen. They wanted to get to a time where, hey, this is going to be awkward because we have too many outfielders for only 3 spots. We'll have to see how they tackle AAA. It's only going to be a month. I fully expect both of them to be back in Gwinnett to start next year. Same with Ian Anderson, who, at the beginning of the year, we thought this Gwinnett rotation and the Mississippi rotation were one of the most loaded in baseball. Some of the shine has come off some of those guys. Kyle Wright has really struggled this year in making his stuff translate to that new AAA ball and to the majors. Bryce Wilson has dropped out the top 100. Colby Allard just got traded to Texas. So Ian Anderson comes up to Gwinnett. This is his chance to kind of become the ace of that staff. Didn't work out, like you mentioned, Tyler, in that debut. He ended up walking 4 and giving up 6 hits in 3 innings, got charged with 5 runs. So he currently has a 15.0 ERA. Not great. But he did get 5 strikeouts in those 3 innings. The fastball is going to play anywhere he goes. The curveball, there's a lot of talk about it being a low spin rate curveball, but the action on it has worked pretty well. And the changeup is above average. And, the way he kind of keeps the ball and hides it coming out of a 6'3" frame with pretty good extension, it can be really tough for guys to hit. The control had improved a little bit this year, I would say. But to see it take that step back, maybe that's getting used to the AAA ball. Maybe that's going against more disciplined hitters. It's something we're going to have to keep watching here as he makes more starts going deeper into August. But this will be a good test for him. He has, number 2, number 3 starting pitcher ceiling, I think, if everything clicks for him. And now he has a chance to show it at a level when a lot of guys have been tested this year.
We're joined this week on the Minor League Baseball podcast, the show before the show, by number 10 Reds prospect, the newest number 10 Reds prospect in the Cincinnati system, Jameson Hannah, calling in from Florida with the Daytona Tortugas. Jameson, how you doing?
Doing good.
Good. Thank you for joining us. So one thing we wanted to talk to you about is, last week was the trade deadline. We did this whole trade deadline show. It was a whole big part of the baseball atmosphere, obviously. You find out you're traded from the Oakland A's to the Cincinnati Reds as part of the Tanner Roark deal. Kind of tell us your trade story. How did you find out, and what were the couple days after that like?
Oh, man, well, you hear a lot about trades, but you never kind of know how to take it on until you have your first. But I just had some roommates come busted in my room and said they saw some stuff on Twitter about me being traded. And, the first thing I did was get on my phone and try to look it up, and there it was. But, it was a great opportunity I had with Oakland, and I'm looking for bigger things in Cincinnati. But I can't thank the Oakland A's enough for this opportunity, and happy to be a Red now.
Yeah, and you talked about how you kind of approach it, and you don't know what it's going to be like until you go through it. What was that instant reaction of, you got traded so early in your career. You were a second-round pick last year. Now you're on your second organization. Yeah. Kind of how were you able to process it?
You hear about it from different guys, and you kind of don't know what to do at first, especially with it being your first trade, but you just kind of assume that you have to drop everything and move teams, and that's actually how it really goes. You just got to pack up everything, and you're on to the next. So, it's good to be wanted, but also, it's sad to leave some teammates and some of the coaches behind.
Yeah.
But, like I said earlier, I'm just happy for the experience.
Mm. And when you said you talked to some of the guys, who did you seek out, or where did you get any guidance on this? Were there teammates in Stockton? Were there other people you reached out to? How did you get kind of like the words of wisdom you needed to go through a trade?
Yeah, so I've had some teammates in Stockton that kind of have gone through it, and definitely coaches because they've been around the game and they kind of know how this works. So I mean, just trying to pick some ears from different people and trying to understand this process. And they gave me some good information, but it's tough to say goodbye to them.
What do you feel like was the biggest piece of advice you received?
It's the same game, don't try to do too much. It's stick to the player that you are. So kind of keeping that with me is definitely a big part of my game. And, I'm just going to go out there and do what I do best. And hopefully the Reds definitely like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got you for a reason. That's one part of the trade, right, is that they went out and sought you coming back. But you touched up a little bit on it in terms of just the logistics of a trade. And it's especially weird for you, somebody's going from Stockton, California to Daytona, Florida. You couldn't have traded coasts any more than you did. What were those couple days like that? What was that like? And what was it like getting settled in Daytona? How long of a process did that take? Or are you not even settled yet?
Oh, man. I mean, the first time was pretty much all travel. I think I traveled for about 9 to 10 hours going coast to coast. But I mean, other than that, I like to think I'm all settled in. Just had to trade some green and gold for some red and black. So, I mean, like I said, it's the same game. And, yeah, it definitely takes some time getting used to different players in the organization. But they've welcomed me with open arms. The coaching staff is great, and I'm happy to be here.
And it is early days still, obviously, but what kind of instruction or guidance have you gotten from the Reds so far? What were some of like the worst or the first words you heard from the front office or coaching staff once you were welcomed into the Cincinnati system?
Yeah, well, they definitely knew the kind of player that I was. And, first going here in Daytona, they just kind of told me that just do my thing. They know what I'm capable of and don't want to put too much pressure on them. So that definitely was a big relief. So, I just try to keep that with me and just do all that I can to help this team.
And one interesting thing about the trade when it went down, I feel like you've been improving as the season went on. You hit 226 in April and then certainly warmed up from there, hitting 327 in May and continuing on. What did you learn about yourself in that first month? Because that was the first April you have played in your pro career. What adjustments have you made as you've gone on here in 2019?
Yeah, definitely. It's way harder to lose than sports season. But, that first month of April was tough. But, I mean, baseball's a long season, so you just got to grind through it. And, being as optimistic as I am, I know the kind of player that I am, and I know that wasn't what I was capable of. So, I mean, just attacking each day and putting my nose down to get better, and thankfully it was able to stop.
Did you feel like there was a turning point in which things started clicking, or was it your natural ability that just needed time to shine through, you think?
I mean, like I said, it's kind of tough to just get thrown in there. But, it comes with that, definitely seeing a lot of pitches, comes with that bats, and, kind of being fed up with mediocrity. So being able to kind of go up there with a little edge up at the plate and try to do what I'm capable of, and also not putting too much pressure on myself will definitely help turn that around.
And how is that kind of manifesting itself when you're saying putting too much pressure on yourself? Because, I mean, I feel like that's understandable. You were a second-round pick, a lot of eyes on you coming into the year. There is some pressure there. How did you ease up that pressure, or what did you do to deal with that and able to, like we said, turn things around there starting in May?
Yeah, I mean, we had a great ball club in Stockton, so just being able to, like I said, not put too much pressure on myself and know that there's guys in the lineup that are going to get their job done. So it's just a matter of if I don't get the job done, I know I have guys behind me that will do it, and vice versa.
And one of the things, too, we talked about the logistics of going from the Cal League to the Florida State League and just in terms of travel day. But they couldn't be two more different leagues in terms of how they play either. I know you've only got a handful of games now under your belt with Daytona, but what have you noticed so far, and what have you kind of been warned about when the FSL, moving from the Hitters League of the Cal League going to the FSL?
Yeah, I mean, the first day I got there, everybody was telling me how the ball doesn't fly compared to the Cal League. So, I mean, just sticking to the player that I am, and definitely a different aspect of the different leagues is the weather. You know, it's very hot and humid and muggy down here, so being able to put up with that and kind of stick to my style of play definitely helped me along in this league.
And being a Texas guy, which place were you more comfortable in, I guess?
You know, they say there's humidity in Texas, but I'd say the weather in California was a lot better than it is here. I mean, it's definitely really hot, really muggy, and these afternoon showers pop up every day, so that's kind of hard to get through. But you know, it's just everyone goes through the weather, so got to make sure I don't let that affect me and just kind of grind through it.
And what did you know about the Reds coming into this? Because you know, so much of your preparation is to become an Oakland A and try to fit their philosophy and all that, and then you have to switch organizations. And did you know anything about the Reds? Did you learn anything about them in the draft process or anything like that? I mean, what did you know, or what were you able to bring to the table, you know, those first couple days?
Yeah, I mean, the Reds had some interest in me on draft day, but I mean, things don't always work out the way they want to. So, I mean, you definitely don't hear about it before the trade, but after the trade, kind of relieves some stress, I would say. But I mean, other than that, I'm happy to be a part of this organization. This organization has a lot of history, and I'm excited to see how far I go in this organization.
And when you mentioned there being a little bit of stress, what was it like being in that Stockton clubhouse? You know, you're playing for a team that is trying to contend. It's going for a wild card spot, but that means they're usually buyers at the trade deadline, and prospects are kind of the currency of the trade deadline. Was that something you guys were talking about with the Ports of like, hey, any one of us could go, or how did you guys kind of deal with the weeks leading up to the trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, you never, obviously, like you said, prospects tend to fly around, and they're on the radar for the trade deadline, but we had some good guys in Stockton, and we tried to just keep our heads down and try to make a playoff push towards this end of the season. I mean, things obviously unfolded, and I was able to get traded, but I'm still pretty sure the guys down there are keeping their heads down and going to work.
And you've had to introduce yourself a couple times now to new places. Stockton was a new team for you. It was your first spring training. You got introduced to the A's last year. Now you're getting introduced to the Reds and the Daytona Tortugas. How do you introduce yourself when you come into a new clubhouse, and when you are asked to be a big part of the lineup? You led off tonight for the Tortugas. You know, what do you do to introduce yourself? How does your personality kind of plug in to a new place?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of an even keel kind of guy, so I mean, I'll make my friends here and there, but I mean, we're all here for the same reason. We're all here to win ball games and, you know, do our part to help the team win. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's definitely fun meeting new guys in the clubhouse, but I feel like the way you play on the field will help you make some new friends as well. So, like I said, just trying to do my job to help the team win and let the rest kind of unfold.
And given everything else that's gone on, and we've talked about so much change this year, I want to come back to the idea that this is your first full season. This is the first time you are trying to go from April to September in pro ball like this. What was your welcome to pro ball moment? Because I know last year you played at Class A short season Vermont, a couple of games, then an injury in July, end your season early. Now you've played much more. You're up to 98 games this season. What do you feel like was your crystallizing, this is my job now moment?
Definitely in April, you know, like we talked about earlier, that tough stretch. And, you know, once that was over, I was kind of like, hey, I got a long way through, got to put my nose down and get to work and obviously try to play better. But, I mean, other than that, you know, you know how many games there are, and you know it's a grind, so you just got to attack each day and hopefully just pray for the best.
And I want to go back a little bit even further to the draft process for you. You came out of Dallas Baptist, and I believe you were the highest position player ever selected out of Dallas Baptist. There's been some notable names over the years that have come out of that school, baseball-wise, Chance Adams being a prospect recently that I think a lot of people know. But what was it like trying to stand out at a school like that? Because you're not at a big SEC school, you're not at some of the other powerhouses, and you end up showing up enough to be a second-round pick. What was it like going through the process at that school?
I had a great 3 years, great experience over in DBU, and obviously we're like I said, it's the same game. We're trying to go out there and win ball games. So I mean, just kind of keep your nose down and not try to let the media and everything affect you. I was kind of under the radar a little bit, being in a smaller than major school, but I didn't want to let that affect my style of play and how I wanted to help the team win. So, I mean, things worked out. I was able to get some attention from some scouts and stuff, but, I mean, it was just kind of going out there every day and trying to help the team win, and good things will happen.
Mm. And at what point did you feel like the draft was a real possibility for you? Because, you weren't – I don't think you were drafted coming out of high school, but then as a freshman –
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, so coming out of high school as a freshman, you hit 332 for a D1 program. I think that's going to put you on the map no matter what. But at what point did you think, like, hey, this not only am I just going to be drafted maybe after my junior year, but I'm going to be a prominent pick?
Yeah, I would say after my experience in Cape Cod League, the same thing, started off slow, but, it's a pretty premier collegiate league, and you have all those scouts out there. And I felt like I was able to kind of show my attributes out there. I felt like I played pretty well, and, you start hearing some things, and you get on social media and you start seeing some things. So that kind of lit a spark on me, kind of let me know that I was able to kind of follow this profession, and definitely kind of fueled me for my sophomore and junior year to be a premier pick and try to be a top player.
Mm. And this might be just a question for me. I grew up in Massachusetts. I used to go to Cape League games. I used to go to the Cape League All-Star game every year. You played for Bourne. What was your favorite moment on the Cape? What was something that you would take away from that summer of 2017?
I mean, it was definitely eye-opening. I would say the players. I mean, you kind of hear about these big-name players coming out of these bigger schools, and me being kind of a smaller guy. It's kind of cool to being able to compete with these guys and knowing that you're on the same level as them definitely was eye-opening and a great experience.
Hmm. And talk about, you being a smaller guy. You're listed at 5'9". Everybody talks about your smooth left-handed stroke, and that's one thing that stands out with you. But how were you able to develop that? What was something you were doing, even in your high school days, in your college days, Cape days, whatever, that's allowed you to become such a smooth swinger from the left side and show guys that, hey, I'm not just a small guy. I've got the stick to make it here in pro ball?
Yeah, I'd definitely say my college coach at DBU, Coach Heath, definitely helped me progress my swing into, as you say, the smooth, compact swing, and just kind of being effortless definitely helps. But I mean, I try not to glorify myself that much, and like I said, try to just see how I play and let that determine things.
Yeah, and when you talk about how you play, how would you describe your offensive approach? Being somebody, normally going to be at the top of the lineup. A lot of people project you to be potentially a leadoff hitter, a number 2 hitter. What are you looking to do when you get up there?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said earlier, I'm not the biggest guy out there, so I'm not going to try and hit 450-foot home runs. But, being the leadoff guy or 2-hole guy, I like to try to see a couple pitches and see how this guy's going to work me. And also, I don't want to be too timid at the plate. I want to be aggressive and kind of, if I get that pitch, don't miss it. So, I mean, that's where, like you said, the smooth, easy swing kind of comes in, because I want to make sure that once I get that pitch, I don't want to miss it. I want to be able to get on base and provide for the team.
And did the Reds in your discussions with either coaches at Daytona yet, or maybe somebody in player development, did they explain to you or tell you what they liked most about your game and what they wanted you to kind of exploit when you're out there now that you're part of that organization?
Not necessarily. They just kind of just like the way I play the game. It's just a matter of being the best player I can be, and I bring a good hit tool to the field, but also I like to pride my defense. So just being good on both sides of the ball definitely helped me, I guess.
And these first couple of games, I think tonight you played right field, and that was for the first time in the FSL. You've mostly played center field so far. You were splitting time in Stockton. I know that was kind of a loaded outfield out there, but have the Reds given you any indication that they intend you to play more center, or are you prepared to switch positions all over again here with the Tortugas?
Well, I mean, I like to think I'm a center fielder, so I'm going to attack every lane center field, but it's just a matter of where the coaches put me in the lineup, and I'm going out there and do the best job I can out there. So, I mean, I'm comfortable with all three positions, but I'd primarily like to be in center. But, I mean, like I said, it's really up to the coaches, and I'll go out there and do the job.
And I feel like I know the answer to this question, but I still want to ask it anyways. Why would you prefer to play center? Why is that the position you feel like you would be best geared towards, or you are most excited about?
I think I'll get good reads out there, So center is one of the premier positions on the field. So being able to kind of be a leader on the outfield and get great jumps and kind of save some runs is definitely a big part of the game. So I definitely like that role.
And you are, any scouting report that you read about you is that you are a plus runner. I always like asking guys this question. When did you know you were fast? Not only just fast of like fastest kid in your neighborhood or fastest kid in your school, fast enough that you were going to be good enough, fast enough at college ball, fast enough at pro ball. When did that lock in of like, this is my most dangerous tool?
I'd say in high school. I mean, definitely being able to use your legs helps, and I feel like that kind of helped me get that scholarship at DVU and so forth. So I feel like that's when I first kind of realized that was in my high school days, and after that I've kind of let my legs lead the way.
And how did you develop that? Did you do other sports, or were you just a burner on the base pass? I mean, how did your speed develop?
I feel like it's just a natural gift. I played a little bit of football growing up. I played a little bit of everything, but it's just one thing that I feel like has kind of stuck with me my entire life, and it's a great tool to have.
No, for sure. That's always one of those carrying tools for any player. All right, Jameson, we'll end on this one. I usually like to ask guys who have just been traded. You are introducing yourself to a new organization, to a new fan base even. As Reds fans and members of the Reds organization get to know you over these last couple of weeks of the 2019 season, what do you hope they learn about you? What type of player do you hope they see you as they get to know you more?
Yeah, I definitely want to tell Reds Nation out there that I'm the type of player that's going to show up to the ballpark every day and give 110%. So, I mean, things may not work out the way I intend them to, but just know that the effort and the attitude is going to be there. So I'm happy to be a part of this organization, and ready to see how far this place takes me.
And to take that one kind of step further, is there any player, past or present, or anybody you've played with that you kind of model your game after?
I wouldn't say model, but I really like the way Ken Griffey Jr. played. He's the kid, one of the best baseball players ever. So I tried to model my swing after him, but just having that in the back of my mind definitely helps.
I think a lot of people in Cincinnati just got excited that you mentioned Ken Griffey Jr.
Exactly.
For many, many reasons. But all right, Jameson Hannah, thank you so much for joining us. Congrats on all the success so far, and good luck going forward there with the Reds and Daytona the last couple weeks of 2019.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Benjamin Hill joins the show to discuss a story that I just took a look at the photo at the top of it, and now I'm starving. Hi, Ben.
Hello, Tyler. I'm here to make you hungry. Hello, Sam. I'm here to make you hungry as well. I'm here to spread hunger throughout the land.
Well, that is obviously working. The latest on the road column is from Las Vegas ballpark, where Sam and our good buddy Josh Jackson got a chance to visit.
Ben went. I didn't go anywhere.
Did I say Sam?
You
Ben.
did. Yeah.
And the hunger, it's doing things to me. It's making me mix up names and everything. Ben and Josh were in Vegas, and then we're in Fresno. We talked about that last week. But the on-the-road story this week about the Las Vegas ballpark concessions, and the picture alone includes burnt end burritos. Burnt ends are like my favorite things in barbecue. Branded bun burgers. You can get a burger that has the Las Vegas ballpark logo branded onto the top of it. And nachos. I don't know what the sauce is or what this cheese concoction is on top of these nachos, but good Lord, all of this looks amazing.
Yeah, those are, that photo's cropped, and you can read the story for all the nacho ingredients, but those are helmet nachos for one, full-size helmet nachos, and two, they were kind of a Mexican corn-style elote nachos with like crema, jalapenos, corn, and what have you, different types of cheese. Really good stuff. Yeah, so this is a story about Las Vegas ballpark food. I got so much material on the food over the course of 2 days. I already have split it into two stories. The first, I believe we already talked about, but how, the team's basic approach to food was to partner with chefs in Las Vegas to have them create ballpark food items based on this whole, minor league done major principle of really capitalizing on Las Vegas' status as, the hospitality capital of the world. So, I talked a lot with Cody Malone, the team's food and beverage director, and this dude went all out in trying to make this like a truly spectacular food situation. Cody Malone, big guy. He's like 6'8", and he looks like a chef. A guy who loves food, loves to eat, loves to talk about food. Super passionate about his job. There's a quote in the story about how he will travel to the ends of the earth to find the best food, and he says, if I have to go to the top of a mountain to get the best fish sandwich, I will go there. And I was like, that'd be a weird place to go.
Mountaintop, because this is the best sandwich you were ever going to.
Yeah, but he used fish sandwich as an example. I'm like, mountains are usually pretty far from the sea, Cody. So it'd be kind of weird if you had to go to a mountaintop to get the best fish sandwich. But I love that quote just because I think it did speak to his passion and enthusiasm. So partnering with all these local chefs, I already did a story about Chef Brian Howard, who works at a Asian fusion restaurant, or not just works, but created an Asian fusion, Mediterranean, French, all kinds of influences at a very popular Las Vegas restaurant in the Chinatown neighborhood called Sparrow and Wolf. He created his own line of hot dogs. I already did a whole separate spin-off story about those hot dogs, and now on in this story. Just like an overall food scene overview, incorporating my designated eater for the night, Ben Sachs. But we talk about the burnt end burritos. Not burnt end Doritos, although I'm surprised that's not a flavor at this point. The burnt end burritos, which are courtesy of a place called Barbecue Mexicana, which is a well-known spot featuring well-known chefs and restaurateurs in the Vegas area. I actually ate at Barbecue Mexicana like every day during the winter meetings last year, which are in Vegas.
I did not get in on that.
So
myself.
It was very, very good. So the burnt end burritos are something that just throughout my stay in Vegas, people were like, "Ooh, did you write about the food? Did you write about the burnt end burritos?" Like, people are really, really big on those. The branded bun burgers, which they get from a partnership with a local bakery, and that's done through some quote unquote top secret caramelization process. I don't know how that works, but it's kind of weird to get branded buns and have it be edible. The nachos, obviously spectacular. The full line of Chef Brian Howard's hot dogs. And on and on and on. Tacos from Tacos Me Gusta, a well-known taco place in Las Vegas. Patty melts, on and on. So, anyhow, minor league done major in Las Vegas. They really went all out on the food, and I've got a big story about it.
Yeah, and this kind of ties into that theme for sure. But my question more about it, just when the hospitality manager is talking about going to the ends of the earth and the mountaintops to get fish sandwiches, and they're going all out with food, and it seems like they went out with every aspect of the ballpark. How much do you feel like this is showing off the major league capabilities of Vegas, because expansion has been a big topic in baseball the last couple of years, and Vegas is always one of the places that brought up alongside Charlotte and Portland, and maybe going back to Montreal or something like that. Do you feel like the organization is trying to show major league readiness with even these like minute details?
I think it's more the idea. I mean, yes, but I think it's more the idea that Vegas is already now a major league sports town, or major sports town. With the Golden Knights, their practice facility is right just beyond the left field side of Las Vegas ballpark. So Summerlin is already home to Golden Knights practice facility and this brand new AAA park. Obviously, the Raiders are moving to the NFL. So I don't know if the Aviators specifically are saying, hey, we're auditioning for Major League. I think it's saying like we're already essentially Major League in terms of the type of city we are, the type of sporting entities that we're surrounded by, and the type of ballpark we have already. So I think they're saying like we're not going to let any aspect of this operation slip. And it's run by the Howard Hughes Corporation, which is just generally a company that spares very few expense, very little expense. And this ballpark was very expensive. The amount spent on it, the estimates vary. I've seen anywhere between $100 and $150 million. But a lot more money went into this ballpark than most minor league ballparks. Things like on the second level, on the suites, there is a celebrity chef kitchen where celebrity chefs come and like take it over for the night and feed all the club level seat holders and the suite holders and stuff like that. And I was talking to Cody Malone, the food and beverage guy, and he's like, man, it's just ridiculous how much money they were able to put into things like this like super tricked out public kitchen for celebrity chefs to cook in. So yeah, I think they're running as major league as they can. I think they do take a lot of pride in looking at Las Vegas as a major league city, and certainly want to be in the running, not the Aviators specifically, but Las Vegas, I think, is doing everything it can to solidify that reputation.
Let's discuss a couple of new identities that have come out. That story, by the way, on the Vegas Food is up at MILB.com and on Ben's page, www.milb.com/BensBiz.
And I will mention real quickly, Tyler, that tomorrow or today, if the day this podcast comes out, I'll have a full Las Vegas ballpark tour story, along with a video made by our colleague Josh Jackson. So
is it narrated by Josh?
I hope so.
Yeah, I want that to happen.
His tones are dulcet.
Josh is a film, some kind of film major. So I'm hoping that this is going to be like Barney Gumbel's entrance to I think it'll be film festival. It'll be black and white. It'll be very French.
I think it'll be Fellini-esque. I think he's going to incorporate some of his Jean-Pierre Melville influences, maybe a little Herzog and Scorsese as well.
The second act will take a turn we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
Don't cry for me. I'm already dead.
Exactly. So anyhow, just to say, keep an eye out for a full overview of Las Vegas Ballpark appearing on the site Thursday, today.
A couple new identities that have been announced. One that has been blown out to great fanfare so far, and another one that we'll get to here in a minute as well. The Iowa caucuses, the first such caucuses in the nation. The state, very well known for that, obviously. And the Iowa Cubs, coming up on August 30th, will transform into the Iowa caucuses. That will be their identity for the game. They announced a logo, and they've got star-spangled uniforms and all that kind of stuff. The logo is the state of Iowa and anthropomorphized, however you say it, state of Iowa with
arms and legs and a face.
Exactly. I love that he has a foam finger that has the number 1 on it. That cracks me up. But this is kind of interesting because New Hampshire has done this. New Hampshire, in fact, when that franchise was first announced, they announced their plan to be named the New Hampshire Primaries. We've talked about this before. They have since just gone with that as an alternate identity. They are, of course, the Fisher Cats full-time. But Iowa jumping on it now with the caucuses. Yeah,
this is a pretty cool one. It just announced today, and that the day we were speaking, yesterday, for those listening to this on the day the podcast comes out. Iowa Cubs have, they're a team that still has, the name of their parent club as a name, and have generally been pretty conservative as regards, current minor league baseball promotional trends. They did participate in Copa this year, so changed their name for that, and that was the first time they ever changed their names. This is their first kind of one-off identity. And obviously, as anyone knows, politics is very, generally speaking, you want to stay away from in terms of minor league baseball promotions because, hey, we all live in this country, and like, what can you do politically that everyone's going to be like, hey, this is a good idea? It just, we've learned. We've seen things in minor league baseball that exploded that didn't go over well. We see in the culture at large. So if you're going to do something political, it has to be something that everyone can get on board with. And Iowa found something that everyone can get on board with, especially locally. Maybe not everyone can get on board with it nationally because they might think, why does Iowa have such a disproportionate influence in the electoral process? But if you're in Iowa, you're like, yeah, we're number one.
The reason why everybody comes here.
Yeah, we've got all these presidential hopefuls hanging out with us in diners and coming to our minor league baseball games. Joe Biden has already been to a Cubs game this year, and what's his name?
Beto O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke has also been to an Iowa Cubs game. I always want to call him Beto.
Beto. I think
it is Beto. It's
yeah.
Beto. Anyway, so I think they're just they're celebrating their role in the electoral process. How the presidential the road to being president starts in Iowa, and so it's a real cool identity, an American identity. I think that will unite people on both sides of the aisle. And as Tyler mentioned, you can't help, if you know minor league baseball and you know this world, you can't help but think of the New Hampshire primaries, who, they did announce that their name day in and day out was going to be the primaries. But this was a different world in minor league baseball. Now that name doesn't sound too wild at all.
Isn't that so funny? That sounds so normal now.
But at the time, there wasn't a template for these non-traditional names. The uproar was swift. Now teams are like, oh, yeah, the uproar, give it to us. As long as you're talking about us, It's cool. But back then, it was a different time. The team was like, whoa, I think we made the wrong decision, and switched to a vicious predator that makes horrific killing noises in the night instead, the Fisher Cats.
I will say Fisher Cat noises are frightening when you're in the middle of the field in New England.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast and you're near a computer, well, finish listening to the podcast, but then just look up some Fisher Cat videos. They will terrify you.
But one thing, now I know New Hampshire's done this in the past when they dabbled in the primaries, bringing them back. They've had donkey hats and elephant hats, right? Isn't that been a thing?
Yeah.
Iowa's not doing that whatsoever. It's just one hats.
Yeah. New Hampshire did have a vote on whether they wore, I think, a donkey or an elephant at one point.
Right.
For one of their alternate identity nights. No, there's just the one logo here. I think the team will probably do some interesting stuff as regards maybe, voter registration and trying to get people involved, just in the democratic process, no matter what side of the fence you're on. I plan on covering this closer to the date once the details are fleshed out, and the game itself is on August 30th, and it's a cool logo, and I imagine one that's going to appeal to people outside of Iowa just because it's an anthropomorphized state.
Exactly. There's another identity that was announced yesterday, Tuesday of this week, and actually is kind of flown under the radar, even in terms of the things that you can find online about it so far. But the Pawtucket Red Sox are going to become the Pawtucket Fightin' Quahogs for a game later this month, which I will be fully honest, I thought was just the name of the town in Family Guy. Evidently, it's an edible clam, which is found on the Atlantic coast. And this one has been a much quieter release, but it kind of falls in line with, all the food-themed identities that we've seen in recent seasons across the minors as well.
Yeah, one worth mentioning, but yeah, we as of yet do not have much information on this, what the team plans to do with it. Sam, not to put you on the spot, but anything that's remotely New England, I'm like, Sam will know about.
Yeah, no, quahogs are not something I necessarily grew up with. Fried clams were my thing, but quahog is definitely, there's a reason why Family Guy named a town after these. It is a very Rhode Island concept. Even the hat, I will say, looks Family Guy-esque.
Yeah, it does. It has a very Peter Griffin look to it.
Right. It's got the eyes to it. It's definitely a clam with a bat and some arms and wearing a Pawtucket hat. I think they're trying to tap into something here, the confusion of you, Tyler, and other people out there who are just the Fightin' Quahogs. That just sounds like what the team name was. for where the Griffins lived, and maybe you'll buy the hat that says Fighting Quahogs if you've been a big Family Guy fan. But if you're a Rhode Islander, an Ocean Stater, you might have some pride in the fact that the Quahogs is really only a Rhode Island thing. It's not taken other places in New England. So I think this is trying to tap into multiple markets in kind of the same way Iowa is, and that if you are, a proud Iowan, you'll buy the hat because it's got your state on it. But also, if you're just a political junkie, you'll like the hat too. So I think it's more than just a regionalized thing. But we'll have to see exactly what else they're going to do with it. I wonder if Family Guy might try to get involved somehow, or if they'll more directly allude to it than they have so far.
So you can check out all that stuff later on this month in person if you're in Iowa/Pawtucket, and all the Ben stuff as well on the site milb.com/bensbiz. And Ben, final month of the season. Do you have any more trips coming up?
I didn't have one scheduled, and I still don't have one official, but I put something together yesterday, fairly modest, but, with some reasons behind it. And I'll probably talk about that next week, and it'll be later in the month. But I want to get out there one more time because as much as it exhausts me and as much as I still have a lot of material from my previous trip, this is a very short window in which to operate in such a manner. So, let's get out there.
I feel like we should just tease it and say everybody should get out to their closest minor league park and see if you're there that night.
Yeah,
that's true.
We won't tell people where you go this
For
time.
the remainder of the season, go to a minor league park closest to you.
Assuming Ben will be there.
Yeah. Assuming I'll be there, and there'll be a small but possible chance. We'll just put it that way.
He is Benjamin Hill. You can find him on Twitter at BensBiz, and again, the site milb.com/BensBiz. And Ben, we'll talk to you next week.
You will, and I, in turn, will talk to you.
Getting set to wrap up this week's episode of the show before the show. MILB.TV is your place to catch the final month of the regular season in minor league baseball. Sam, what are you watching on MILB TV this week?
Yeah, so we brought up Forrest Whitley in the first segment of the show, and I'm going to bring things back around to him. He last pitched on Sunday at home against Midland for AA Corpus Christi. I expect we don't have probable pitchers yet to see when he'll go next, but he'll probably be going over the weekend, maybe as early as Friday, more likely Saturday or Sunday, I would think. But if that happens, if he falls within those 3 days, he'll be playing against Midland again, which I think is going to be a good test for him because Midland will have just seen him. They're going to be, that'll be a good test for his stuff is, okay, yeah, he can do well against the team once. What happens when they see him again and that quickly? So that'll be a good test for him before I feel like, as I mentioned before, the inevitable push back to AAA. So yeah, you're going to want to watch Forrest Whitley's starts the rest of the way, regardless of where he's pitching. But there is a little bit of intrigue there if he is facing the Rockhounds for the second time in a week. That should be pretty exciting. And if he does well there, against the same crew, against guys who know what he has, that'll be really cool, and that I think will push his move back to AAA Round Rock. Tyler, what do you got your eye on?
Yeah, the San Diego Padres promoted their 2019 first-round pick C.J. Abrams from the rookie-level Arizona League to Class A Fort Wayne this week. 32 games in the AZL. C.J. Abrams batted .401, .442, .662. Pretty good numbers. So Abrams is up now in the Midwest League. The Fort Wayne Tin Caps are at home until Friday, taking on the Dayton Dragons, and then over the weekend they'll be on the road at South Bend. All those games are on MILB.TV. You can get a chance to check out the 6th overall pick in the 2019 Major League Draft, as C.J. Abrams has made the jump to full season Class A. And that will wrap it up for this week's episode of the show before the show. Thanks for tuning in. You can find us on Twitter. Sam's at Sam Dykstra MILB. I am at Tyler Mon. You can email the show, questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, whatever you have, podcast at MILB.com. And until next week, he's Sam. I'm Tyler. We'll talk to you then.